What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to another episode of that show I like to call Chat and Draw. And we're back for another banger in the building. We're going to have a good time today because that's what we do on Chat and Draw. We have a good time because we are talking about, normally, comics. Sometimes we switch up the subject. And then I draw these things, and I try to be as epic as I possibly can while drawing these things. So, here we go. Chat and Draw is a show where I sit across from the virtual art table of a colleague or a friend or associate, and we talk about things that we are happen to be drawing on the virtual art table. And that's why you get chat and you get the draw, and you put those two things together. Me, what's up, Daniel? I'm Mike Watson. I'm your host today and every day on Chat and Draw. And I just happen to be the publisher of Short Fuse Media Group, the founder of Freestyle Comics, 1/4 of the agents of the nerdy, and the most enthusiastic person in comics. And you're probably wondering, like, oh, you don't seem so enthusiastic today, Mike. I'm actually a bit tired. That happens. I am a bit tired. All right. Doesn't happen very often, but I've been on a streak. This is episode 40. This is the 40th episode after the 100th episode. So we're talking about 140 episodes of Chat and Draw. We've been going strong. Brad, I'm excited to see how I draw this bad boy too, because I've been looking at it and I have not figured it out yet. So we're definitely going to work it out on the table today. And also just to give everybody a heads up, I am doing a Kickstarter myself. It'll be launching in May. So in case you want to know when that launches, well, I know you want to know. Go ahead and give that link a follow. Follow that link. Click the link, hit the follow button so you can get notified when it goes on. I will be doing a launch on Chat and Draw for the Hot Shot Trade, Volume 1 through 4. The compilation coming with it is going to be Hot Shot 0, and that will be lettered. So I'm telling you right now, you want to be the first person. You're going to get some mighty, mighty dope swag if you're the first person. You want to be the first person to pledge on this Kickstarter because we are giving out some swag. I've come to find out that the first Kickstarter post is coveted amongst the circle of indie friends that I have become associated with, and I think it's pretty awesome. So we're gonna make it extra special. All right, Carlos says I'll be backing. Thank you, Carlos, man. I really appreciate that, man. I'm glad to have you on board for it. We'll have tons of stuff for it. We got time though, so I'll be deep diving in there right now. I'm just trying to get as many people following that Kickstarter as possible. And other Kickstarter news, my package has been sent out. Look, I got a small stack left over here. All right, I'm at 89% delivered on the Kickstarter. I need you to check your messages, people. Go to your Kickstarter page, check your messages, fill out the survey so I can get you your stuff. All right, we're sitting here at 11% just floating in nothingness. I want to get this stuff out of here. Come on now. All right. Hit your surveys, check your messages so I can get you your pledges. You paid money for it, and I want to give it to you. Trust me, I do. So check them. We're at 89%. You guys should be getting your Kickstarter packages soon. And as far as I know, because people were telling me as I emailed them, you all got your tracking number when I sent it off too. So excited about that. Okay, and please post. Let me know that you got it. Post about it. Let us know. I want to see who is actually getting their package first through the mail. Sent them out over the last 2 days. And Dan's right. It is a brutal contest to get that number one spot. It is. J-Man said, "What up, Mike?" J-Man is sort of in the house with Costco with my pops. Hey, I understand. I feel you gotta do what you gotta do, and your streak continues, J-Man. But let's get this show underway because I have the dilemma of figuring out how to draw the Matador. Because that's what I'm drawing today. I've never drawn a Matador before. And this Matador apparently kills Kaiju. So I might be stumped tonight. This is going to be interesting. Here we go. Where's my... There it goes.
Wait a second. A new opponent has interrupted the tournament.
Hello, Steven. How you doing?
How's it going? How are you?
Doing fine. Welcome to the show.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see what you come up with. It sounds like
I'm curious to know what I'm going to come up with here.
yeah.
But go ahead and tell everybody who you are and why you're here today, and what do we have on the virtual table?
Sure. My name is Steve Prince. I am the creator and writer of Monster Matador, which is exactly what you think it is. It's about a matador who is fighting monsters to make a better world for his daughter. And we are currently running a Kickstarter for our initial miniseries, Tangle of the Matadors. We're on issue 3, and it's a 3-issue miniseries, so you can pick up all 3 issues right now on Kickstarter. The art is from Fabio Alves, who is nominated for a Ringo Award for his work on Banjax from Action Lab. And it's a great book, so get in on the ground floor.
So you got me out here trying to follow a potential Ringo Award winning artist?
They said you were good, so.
All right, well, we'll see what we can do.
It's all, I'll tell you, I sent you the books, right? It's all about the pose, it's all about you got to get that chest out, but that's kind of the secret to drawing him, I think, is getting that kind of, there you go. That's cool.
Yeah. I noticed that your man has wicked poses. So I know we've got to come out here with something strong.
Yeah, it's part of the fun of the book, because he'll be in the middle of this battle with these monsters and he'll just kind of like strike a pose,
I love it.
Yeah.
So tell us about how does this character come about? Like, what is the creative process to where we are doing a Matador who fights Kaiju?
So, the name just kind of popped into my head, and I thought it just had, it's got a cool ring to it. And I thought that was kind of there was something to the idea about a Matador fighting monsters, since Matador also translates to killer or to kill. So it's like, the title is almost like Monster Killer. The visual, the kind of like, like you said, the posing and like the drama and, the whole thing about a bullfight, it's just like visually a cool thing. And to translate that, when you take a guy kind of posing with his cape and sword, and then he's standing up against this, like, 4-story tall kaiju monster, it's just visually kind of cool. And the basic conceit of the story is the monsters sort of rose up and attacked the world. And on the evening of that attack, his wife was in the hospital giving birth to his daughter. And his wife died, but his daughter survived. And he basically, chose to move forward and fight the monsters, in the name of his wife, and so that his daughter doesn't have to grow up in a world, a post-apocalyptic world, I guess. So,
AKA chose violence.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, you can put it that way.
I'm not mad at it. I'm here for it. Actually,
he's choosing violence so his daughter doesn't have to. That's kind of like the thrust of it. He's trying to kind of he's trying to keep her away from that. So I thought that was kind of an interesting. There's a lot of an interesting kind of like dichotomy between the two.
All right, I can rock with that.
Yeah.
Jamin says his tracking number says Saturday, and Daniel says Saturday should be getting their package. Okay, good, man. I'll be happy when you guys get those. I'm looking forward to everyone finally holding the chat and draw books. I think I'm gonna close it off next week with Lori Foster. I think Lori Foster is gonna be my last show for the season 4 chat and draw book.
See, that's a cool pose. It's dynamic.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
So, how do we create the Matador?
What's that?
How do we create him? What
How do
makes
you?
you pick this?
Oh wait, I'm sorry. What?
I'm sorry. What makes you go this route? What makes you put a Matador and Kaiju together?
Like I said, it just kind of like popped into my head, and like when I first started it, it was when I first kind of came up with it. I was kind of thinking of it almost like a Three Stooges kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
where it was more like slapstick and whatever. And then I started developing further, and uh, a lot of the influences, kind of like uh, 80s action movies and like Mad Max, um, and a lot of like the kind of melodrama that you see in like telenovelas.
Uh-huh.
It's a little bit over the top, and Santo, who is a luchador, if you're familiar with him, a Mexican luchador who fights monsters. It's an old movie series. Um, so it's just kind of like all these different elements kind of thrown into a stew, and it came out. And once I started writing it, it was just one of those ideas that just kind of like wrote itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually wrote and drew like 12 issues of it just on my own, just kind of like, um, I wanted to develop the concept in that way, kind of like the way comics used to do, where you'd start with like an issue and then you'd kind of like feel your way through an idea for a number of issues till you kind of solidify the character.
Mm-hmm.
And once I did that, then we did like kind of like, which is Tango the Matadors, which is really like the launch of the book. And I was, we got Fabio Alves on the art, who's just amazing, and it's been, the response has been great to it. It's an idea, it's a concept that people like once they see it, once they read it, they're like, oh, okay, this isn't really what I expected it to be,
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't follow the typical kind of like monster movie, I guess, structure or storyline.
Uh-huh.
Um, because it's more about it's more about the Matador and the people that are fighting these monsters, and then obviously we have like epic monster battles. And in Tango the Matadors, he fights a giant. It's almost like this giant fly monster, and we call it the Volagante, and it's queen fly sort of monster. So she has also with her thousands of children who attack with her.
Mm.
It kind of like up the ante for the whole thing. He's not just fighting one monster; he's fighting like her kids too. And he's he kind of travels from place to place where the monsters show up, and he helps people fight those monsters.
So he leaves his
All
daughter alone a lot?
So he used to, and now he doesn't. And then in a future book, he's gonna go back to Mexico, and we're gonna have some developments there. Um, and we touch upon that in this miniseries, and we're setting up the next story, which takes place in. He actually travels to South Africa to fight a monster, and that one's going to be probably coming out in the fall. It's kind of like Predator meets zombies sort of thing.
Oh my goodness gracious. All right, man. You're all right. You got me sold on it. But let's
Yeah,
talk
it's
about
fun.
something
It's
different.
fun. It's a lot of fun. It's like I said, if you like action movies, if you like that kind of like Predator, like that sort of style of movies, you'll really dig this. And it's got like its own kind of quirky personality to it. Like I said, we like the melodrama, especially because like we talked about how he's posing and things like that during the battles, and it's he's very kind of like not over the top, but he's very much like nothing really phases him.
Mhm.
Um, which it's the same like in a Matador and a bull ring. These guys are like they're focused, they're intense. So even when like this giant massive monster is coming at him, he's just standing there with his cape out and his sword back, and he's just like You're just like waiting for that moment. And part of the fun is actually trying to figure out how he's going to actually kill these monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Because
that was about to be my next question.
Yeah.
Like, how do we?
Yeah.
Obviously, or it seems pretty self-explanatory that he doesn't really have superpowers. He's
Right.
just a really good matador.
Yeah. So that's part of that's part of the fun, is sort of like trying to figure out like how's he going to do this? How's he actually going to kill it? So it's not predictable, I guess, which is always good. You don't want people to know what's coming.
Right on. Okay, nice. Thank you, Brad. All right, Andrew saying here should be here at the same time. We think he's getting there Saturday or Friday rather. And I can't wait for you guys to get your stuff.
It's cool to see how different artists interpret the costume too.
Oh, how was that for you?
No, I like it. I like what you're doing with it. I don't really like, Fabio draws it a certain way, and then when I've had other people do covers, I haven't really been like, no, you have to draw it this way or whatever. I kind of like how seeing everyone interprets it, and it's actually it's really cool, like the little things, like the little differences that other artists add to it. Like yours has a lot of motion to it, a lot of dynamicism, like the jacket coming up. You got the pants a little baggy, so you've got like the movement and the motion in there. It's really cool.
Thank you. I figured this dude would be able to really move, and like if he was like, I feel like fighting a bull, that's everyday normal stuff to him. But when it comes down to a kaiju, he unbuttons the vest, and
right, right, yeah, and you really see that here. It's got kind of like almost like an anime like a flavor to it. It's cool. If I was a monster, I'd be worried.
Awesome.
I'd be concerned right now.
We want the fear to be there.
Right.
So how long did it take to develop this character?
It took a few years actually. Like I said, I had done those previous issues. It took a while to really kind of get it right, to settle on the right tone. So it actually took a few years. And then once I started working with Fabio, everything just kind of clicked. His style of drawing it's funny. It's like not what I originally envisioned for the book. But then like once he started doing the book, it just like it clicked, it just like came together. So it's been a lot of fun working with him and kind of writing to his strengths. He's a big horror guy. He likes horror. Mm-hmm. So the next one, which is kind of like Predator Zombies, it's a little more it's got more of a horror vibe to it. A lot more moodier. The monster isn't like your typical sort of monster. So
was that the plan for the issue, to kind of switch up the monster like that, or were you doing that special for the artist?
No, I mean so we're doing like series of like, so the first one for this one that's up there now on Kickstarter, it's a 3-issue miniseries, and it's one monster, and then the next book is a different monster, but then there's an overall story arc that we're telling.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like how I was thinking like how Hellboy does it. You've got all these miniseries, but then when you take them all together, it tells like one big story.
Yeah. All right.
So that's kind of that's our approach to it. It's tricky because with with Kickstarter, even with comics, it's like, I think, you don't want to kind of like, you want to give people the full story. You want to give them a story and not leave them hanging like, oh, we did 5 issues and we've still got like issue 10, 11, 12,
Mm-hmm.
and Kickstarter, because they're coming out like you do them every 3-4 months or so. It's kind of like a long wait between issues.
Yeah.
So if you're like, hey, we've got like, a 20 issue story or something like that, people are going to be like, it's going to take like 20 years, especially on Kickstarter. So that's why we're doing it. Actually, the next one is actually going to be a complete story. It's we're moving to 64-page like one shots.
Okay.
So that way it's like, we'll see how that works out, but I'm hoping you're not waiting so long between issues and stuff like that. And this way we can tell like the bigger story in like a reasonable amount of time.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Brad wants to know, how far do you plan on taking the series?
Taking Tangle of the Matadors is one single book, one single story. There's like a core story, a core of like 9 books. And then I hope, if we can be successful enough, I'd love to do like little spin-offs or one-shots and get like other writers and artists to tell stories. But if you sort of think of it like Star Wars, where there's like 3 trilogies, but then there's all these other like side stories and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm telling like the main trilogies, and then I'm hoping that we can do some little side stories and one shots, because we have a bunch of characters and things that we're going to be introducing coming up that I think people will want to see more of. So I've already written the next one. Fabio's already halfway through the next one, and I've already written the one after that, and I started writing the next 2 after that, and I've got another one kind of plotted out. So
Okay.
yeah, so we're definitely like getting ahead of myself, but considering COVID and being home a lot, it's been having more time to kind of work on stuff.
No, man, you should.
Yeah.
If you can do it, do it.
Yeah. But like I said, it's like one of those concepts, you get lucky with something, with an idea, and it just writes itself. It's like, I won't say it's easy to write, but it's like, it's not like painful sitting down and trying to like think of like what's coming next or what the next story is going to be,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Brad, so do you have any other books in addition to Monster Matador? Anything else?
Yes. Yeah, we're gonna so it's we're trying to figure out how to schedule stuff. Right now we're just trying to get Monster Matador up and running, but Fabio and I have a separate horror book that we're developing, and it's kind of like it's going to be kind of like an anthology, but one that has an overarching story. And it takes place it's going to be horror stories that kind of take place in Brazil, because Fabio he lives in Brazil. He's from Brazil, and he had an idea. He wanted to do something kind of like that. It was a little too. He wanted something like it took place in like London or whatever, and I'm like, well, that's already John Constantine. Everybody does that. But no one has really done anything, in his neck of the woods. So I thought that would be interesting. And I've got a script. Actually, have the first script for that is at least the first draft is written, and then I have a crime story that is written, and I'm just trying to figure out an artist and how I'm going to pay for it. So. But that hopefully those will, those are definitely slotted in there, and they're ready to go as soon as I think once like conventions and things pick up, it'll be easier. It'll be nice. It'll be great to be able to take Monster Matador out there. We launched like right when like a month after quarantine hit,
Mm-hmm.
and the plan was always to kind of like do the first book, go to conventions, get it out there, and that obviously didn't happen, but we've been putting the books out. So now, hopefully in the fall, as things start to open up again, we'll be able to kind of get it out into to more people and start to grow the audience a bit more. And then look at figure out when we're going to do those other books. Part of it is since Fabio's doing Monster Matador, he's doing a book called The Jump, which just finished a Kickstarter. So with that horror book, it's really just finding a slot in his schedule where he can do it. But it's coming, I promise it's coming. Thank you, Brad, again for the support.
Brad needs to be somebody's manager.
He's incredible, man. He's such an incredible booster of indie writers and artists. I love his posts because I'll find books to go check out because he posts all the stuff and some of the stuff looks really cool and a lot of it it's we rely on that because it's hard to get the word out, so having fans and supporters like Bradley is so important to our books because like I said, I found books just from looking at his posts, so hopefully people have found Monster Matador too. And obviously he introduced me to you, and this is a really cool podcast or stream.
Thank you.
And you've done 140 of these?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been doing it?
Since March 26th of last year.
Wow, that's intense. So it's like, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's gotten pretty busy.
Mm-hmm.
But I am gonna have to slow it down some myself because I have comics that I need to finish.
Right. When's your Kickstarter launching? In May?
Yeah, May 20th.
Okay, cool. I'll be sure to get a link also in one of my updates for you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And in case everyone did not know, I did put the link for your Kickstarter in the comments. I'll get it back in there again. Yeah. I like this guy. Freaking Matador. I mean, you got to be ballsy as hell, man. Like, it's one thing to get in there and fight a bull, right? But like my man said, I'm out here with these kaiju. See me.
Let me see if I can find something here.
I do manage to get some sleep, Brad.
It's overrated.
It can be,
right?
At times.
So this is, you can see how he's sort of fighting some of these monsters. In this one, it says this is one of the children, and he uses his sword. throws his sword at it, gets it right between the eyes.
Mm.
Yeah. So part of the fun is, it's figuring out ways. Okay, how's he gonna actually take these monsters on, And this is let's see. That's the big bad mama.
All right.
The Volcante.
So how long have you been doing the comic book work in general?
Man, a long time. I mean, a long time. I've always done comics, and then like probably 8 years ago, I lost my I lost my job. I got laid off, and I had some time. And I did a comic strip called Unemployed,
Okay.
which is obviously about an ant that was unemployed, which I thought was
Love it.
yeah. So I did that, and I just and then I did a science fiction graphic novel called The Third, but all the while kind of like developing, like waiting for the right time to do Matador. Matador has always been kind of in the back of my head. But I've been doing comics since like I was a kid. I used to put out little like photocopied comics in like high school and college and things like that. But with Kickstarter, Kickstarter's just it's really opened up.
And Daniel Caliban just pledged to your Kickstarter.
Yeah. Oh, I see that. Thank you so much, Daniel. I really appreciate that. And we are now, let me tell you, we are $30 away from hitting our first stretch goal. So when we hit 4K, we'll be at our first stretch goal. So we're almost there. What was I saying? But yeah, I love doing comics. And I love doing independent comics. I don't know why. I'm kind of like publisher averse.
I think because you get to do it your way.
Yeah, you get to do it your way, and you're losing money either way. To be honest.
Well, he is a fighter, Jay, man. And I actually I use Street Fighter art to learn how to draw torsos and muscles and stuff.
Oh, cool.
So you could be seeing some influence of that.
Oh, that's cool. I like the ink line.
Thank you.
It's cool. Yeah, like I said, it's fun to see how different artists interpret it. And it's funny because I think sometimes like you said, not necessarily daunted by it, but it's like, how am I going to draw a Matador? And then they end up start drawing it, and they just like have so much fun with it because it's you can be so over the top with it, and it doesn't feel like you're
being over the top with it.
What's that?
I said you can be over the top with it, and it doesn't feel like you're being over the top with it.
Yeah, exactly. Which makes it, I think, a little more fun.
They're super good time with it.
And the sword is fun too because it's not a typical sword,
It is not.
And you've got the spikes coming out, which is part of the Matador sword. Fabio did something funny on the first issue. At first I was gonna have him change it, but then I thought it's kind of cheesy, but it's also kind of cool. He drew an M in the sword handle. So it's like, Matador.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you've got it too, actually, a little bit. You've got a little bit, but if you see it right here, it's kind of funny.
Oh, well, now that I know what that is, we can correct that.
Yeah, no, that's right. But I thought that was kind of funny. It's like Superman's got his S. The Matador has the M on his sword. You know.
We must keep tradition.
Right. But it's actually it's a tricky sword to do, and he keeps asking me. He's like, I want to change. He wants to change the sword. so we're actually. It's funny. I've had to write in a scene, or we're trying to figure out a way to kind of like have him get a new sword.
Mm-hmm.
Because the spikes actually it's tricky. The angles get kind of tricky for him sometimes.
Yeah.
So when he's doing it, constantly, I think it's been driving him crazy a little bit. Because one day I got a message and he was just like, here he drew a new sword out of nowhere, and I'm like, there's no way he could have gotten a new sword. Between these these pages, there's absolutely no way he could have done it. He's like, I can't do it. I don't want to draw this sword anymore. You got to suck it up.
Well, that's cool, man, that you're willing to work with them on that.
I didn't win. No, I didn't. He was nominated for a Ringo for Banjax.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but if you're voting for the Ringo Awards this year, you can vote for it's open to fans. The nominations are now open. You can vote for Michael. You can vote for Monster Matador. You can vote for Fabio. There's a whole bunch of categories. Just go to ringoawards.com. And what's great about Ringo Awards is that it's really like fans and pros can nominate. So you do get a lot of indie books like that, and artists that like Fabio who might not get the recognition because they're working in indie comics. Whereas with the Ringos, he has that opportunity and that chance to get recognized. So that's really nice.
That is. There we go.
Did you write and draw your book, or?
Yes, I do.
That's a lot. I like I say, I did it, and it's like, it's a lot of work, but people don't realize. I think a lot of people don't realize like it's a lot.
Yeah, I just started doing that though. I started on issue 9.
Oh, cool.
So I haven't been doing it for a while, but it is a lot.
Yeah.
It's a bit. No, I was gonna say it's a bit easier when I come to drawing because I don't have to be as detailed because I already kind of know what I want to do. But then that's a lie because it makes it more complicated to figure out those panels.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be meticulous with them, trying to consider and that's kind of where it gets a little confusing because I'm the artist and the writer. So I'm trying to think do I really need to have this extra panel here, or am I telling enough story with the panels I have?
It's tricky because now I'm kind of doing it the other way where I'm writing for Fabio, and it's kind of the first time I've actually worked with like another artist, at least at this scale. And it's been fun because we collaborate well together, and I think for me in the beginning he would do things that were not necessarily in the script, and I'd kind of be like, wait a minute, that's not in my script, you can't change my script. But then I would stop a second and think about it because I know when you're drawing and you have a script in front of you, you do your thumbnail and then you start to lay it out and then you draw it. But in between those steps, even though what you have in a script might work on your script, once you actually kind of see it drawn, then you start to kind of like, oh, maybe this will work better this way. Maybe that'll work better. And I think it's actually helped me have a really good working relationship with him because I understand like where he's coming from and why he's making those changes. And he'll add these little things in there that really they bring a lot to the book, even though it might be just like a little change here and there. They add like a little something to the book. In the first issue of this, when you first see the Matador, the way it was designed was that the Matador is being carried over these ruins in Guatemala, and he was supposed to kind of like punch at the Volagante, and she was going to let him kind of drop down. In a way, you're kind of like dropping the reader into the story. And his arms were free the way I had written it. And what Fabio did was he had a panel, and it was the Matador's arms were behind his back, and they were like handcuffed together with a resin. And at first I was like, well, that doesn't really make any sense because there was no resin in any of my scripts or anything. But then it was such a cool visual because you're coming into this book just kind of like media res. The Matador is being carried over by this giant monster. He's got his hands, behind his back, and then he kind of like breaks free, and then the story hits the ground running. And I wound up adding this. It was, I think, in one of the pictures you saw, but so the monster now, just like an actual fly does, has this like thing coming out of her mouth, right? From behind her mouth, and shoots. Now she shoots this like resin, this kind of like acid, almost like alien or something. But it's like, those little ideas like that can turn into like bigger ideas. So it's cool, like to see, the things that, he would add to the script and would have like, reverberations across, the whole story.
Right.
That changed it, for the better. It adds like these little moments to it. And it's also kind of cool because you're kind of like, wait a minute, how did he end up handcuffed and stuff like that? So.
Inside looks behind the book, man. The creative process between a writer and an artist when they get going is really good, and I definitely can appreciate what you're saying. It's how me and my team over at Hotshot work. All the way down from the inker to the colorist to editorial and letters. We all give feedback on it if we see something or something that can be made better.
Right, yeah.
And there's certain things that I get, locked in on, like, well, it has to be this way because of what I'm trying to get across in the story.
Yeah. Yeah, he did one panel in the third issue, which is insane. It's kind of interesting what he did. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone that's going to read it, but he was like, he emailed me. He's like, I'm not changing this panel. He's like, I'll fly to Vegas and we'll fight over it. If he's like, but I refuse to change it. And I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? Am I really going to is it really worth, And again, when you have that relationship, you really do have to like. There ends up being a lot of give and take, but that's part of the process. And in the end, it actually, I think it really does make the work stronger because once if you find a good collaborator, then it's almost like you're of the same mind, and we've had a lot of. It's been nice because I'll write the scripts and then we have a lot of back and forth. and I'll adjust things, if he has an idea for something, and we'll work through things. But sometimes it's funny because he doesn't speak too much English, so he runs everything through a translation program,
Right.
and then he'll send it to me translated. And one of the things that I've had to kind of keep in mind as I write a script is I can't really write how I talk, or use I guess, like, not necessarily slang, but like, shorthand for things, because
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't necessarily translate. And through the translation program, because sometimes I would get like layouts back and I'd be like, this has nothing to do with anything in the script,
Mm.
you know. Um, but once I figured that out, then uh, because there was one instance he had done a layout, and I was just like, this has nothing to do with anything. Like, what's going on? I'm like, but it was funny. I think we were working for 1 or 2 issues without me knowing, that, because he would send recorded messages uh, in English, and he told me, he's like, yeah, he's like, because he's learning English, he's learning, so to practice, he would record messages, and rather than type something to me, he would record a message and send it to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I just assumed he was, he spoke fluently.
Well, that's cool, man, because it's like being able to find an artist that works for you or works with the story that you're trying to tell, and the fact that he's in a whole nother country, but you guys are still able to communicate.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's we did a podcast with Pop Cult HQ, and Fabio got a translator, so we
Mm-hmm.
were able to do like and our colorist Alex Zief, who's in Mexico, so we were able to actually finally meet and speak to each other, and so that was kind of nice. Look at those sideburns, nice.
Oh yeah, I'm a fan of sideburns, man. I saw your boy had some chops on him, so
And Fabio was the one who added that long flowing hair. He just started drawing. He's drawing with his hair, and so I had to. I tease him. He's that's like for the ladies. He's sexy for the ladies. So we actually wrote in a scene in the next book where he's got his shirt off.
hey, you gotta appease the fandom, man.
Right. You gotta give the fans what they want. But that's, again, that's part of the fun of doing like an indie book and kind of being in control, is that, you can have fun with it. Um,
Yeah, man. Well, there you go.
that's awesome. I love the expression too, man. He looks like he's gonna take out a monster right there.
Yeah, that's a fun one right there. Let's get that link in there one more time. Guys, be sure to check out this Kickstarter. How many more days you got left on it?
We've got 1 week. It ends on in the May 6th, I think, in the morning. Something.
May
I
6th,
figured,
you said.
yeah, I figured I'd run it through Cinco de Mayo,
That's smart.
right?
That's smart.
I'll have to think of something fun to do or give away or something for that.
Well, you should you got a song?
Oh yeah, we have a theme song, uh, and it's awesome. It's like a metal. It's called Flame Fire, and if you listen to the video in the Kickstarter, you can get a sense of it.
Well, you just got 15 from me, man. I got the digital catch up and the song.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
No problem at all. Whew. So I'll be sending this to you, man, so you can do what it is, whatever you want to do with this piece here. Get it colored up and stuff.
All right.
I should throw some rocks under his feet or something.
Why don't I give it away as a print?
Hey, you can do that too. It is yours to do with whatever you want.
Okay. Let's see. I'll see if I can fit it in this one. If not, we'll do it for the next one. That's an awesome drawing. I love those chunky inks too, man. Those are cool.
Thank you.
I know. I love that. You know, it's like you do them well, you know. And I don't mean that like those are like sometimes you see people doing those like chunky inks like that, and there's no clarity to the drawing because they're just like they're either too thick or too like there's too much going on. But it's really nice. That one came out really nice, and it's fluid, you know, like we talked about. It's a really cool drawing. I
appreciate it very much. Brett said, nice Kickstarter bonus. I'm uploading it right now as a PSD file, so I can get it over to you. And guys and gals, you know how I say, if you've already pledged Kickstarter, great, but you can still share it. Sharing is caring. Sharing helps. If you are tight on funds, even $1 helps that Kickstarter. The more people that pledge to it, the more people that see it. Why does that fail? I mean, that's annoying. And if you don't have any money, that's okay. You can still share as well. Because like I said, sharing is just as important as donating funds to the Kickstarter. So let's go ahead and make this one. You're trying to hit your well, he's $15 away from his next stretch goal, or the first stretch goal. We're $15 away from that. Go ahead and give this a share. Steven, this will be up on my YouTube page. So if you want to put this up as a Kickstarter update, you're more than welcome to.
Cool. Yeah, I will. Actually. I already mentioned it in my last one, but I'll put the I'll put this link up in the next one. So
awesome. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. It truly original Monster Matador. Truly something original here that we have going on. Be sure to give my Kickstarter a follow. We're launching that in May. I'm kind of up in the air if it's going to be on the 20th or the 25th. Kind of think I want to do the 25th. That's my grandfather's birthday. So I might do that instead. So, but either way, follow for updates and stuff and stay tuned. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. There will be no streaming tomorrow. Agents of Nerdy will be on Friday. And then Saturday, I believe I have Charlie McElvey coming on with me, Spider Squirrel. And we'll be launching his Kickstarter live on the show. Monday, I have Lori Foster, Unlikely Heroes, in the building with me. And I might be taking a couple days off, man. I need to catch up on my own comic book. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll catch you on the next one.
I think that I should ask Mr. Watson. I think that I should ask Mr. Watson. I think that I should ask Mr. Watson.